All right, we'll do another recording today for all the folks that have either gone home already or they didn't come in today. So again, quick review for clouds that we did yesterday, and then we will jump into some clouds that we did not get to yesterday. Then we are going to work in our books a little bit, and then I promise you the class is going to be over with before you even know it, because it goes by super fast today. All right, why do we need to know the clouds? Like, what's the whole reason of teaching this? You should be able to look at the clouds and pretty much be able to predict the weather that's coming up. I looked around outside all day today. I only saw one cloud that we will talk about today. The rest of it was pretty clear outside, meaning what kind of system is outside. If I'm looking at my barometer, it is looking at a what kind of system. If it's clear, it was cool, it was sunny. High pressure system, which should be in your book. Yes, ma'am. So again, we have to know the types of clouds in order to be able to tell the weather. That's why we're studying all these. Now, in your book, you should have cumulus, stratus, and cirrus once we start working in our book today. I'm going to add nimbostratus and cumulonimbus to that because I think those are the most important clouds that we have. If you decide to add some of the others that I talk about today, that has to be done on your time because we won't have time to do that in class. So yesterday, we watched this video. We learned about why clouds are named they are, but we started off with cumulus clouds. And we learned yesterday that cumulus clouds are, as the picture shows, big, white, and puffy. I notice a lot of blue sky in between them, meaning they are not going to bring anything but fair weather. And you can kind of predict a pretty good day when you see these. Now, in the summertime, as these things build and build and build, Reese, you might eventually have a thunderstorm later in the evening that releases all of that energy that it built up during the day, and then it goes on, and those storms they don't last very long. But if you see this, it is a cumulus cloud, and for right now, it means it would be fair weather, fair and sunny outside. Probably still closer to the high end of the barometer, but definitely not into that clear, cool, and sunny end. It's definitely a little like moving towards the change part. So we talked about that. We looked at the videos, and we talked about stratus clouds. We learned yesterday that stratus clouds are very much like a blanket. They cover the sky, as you can see in this picture. They can bring precipitation, whether that is rain, sleet, or snow. They do not bring hail. That only comes from the cumulonimbus cloud. When you see the stratus cloud, if it starts to release precipitation, for us, we're going to change that to a nimbostratus cloud, although they are both stratus clouds. One of them is raining and one of them is not. So we talked about these gray clouds that spread out and cover the sky yesterday. Then we looked at cirrus clouds. We looked at these cirrus clouds, and we learned that they are formed even higher in the atmosphere than the other two clouds we talked about. As a matter of fact, they are formed so high that they are made of ice crystals. And when I see these cirrus clouds, I know that they curve in the direction of the wind, the way the wind's blowing. I know that they are a predictor of an upcoming change. But for that in particular day, as we took notes yesterday, fair weather, but a change is coming with these high, thin, wispy clouds. And so we will move past that. Now, like I told you in the past, we had to memorize as a class all of the prefixes and suffixes that you could add, and we had to know all the clouds, but that has changed over time. There's not that many that we're going to get tested on, so I'm not going to clog up all of our pathways in our brain to clouds with things that I do not have to remember, but I will go over some of them very, very quickly. Cirrus clouds I've already covered. Cirrostratus, they're just a little bit like higher cloud, still cirrusy looking, right? Well, they're a little lower than a cirrus cloud, but still pretty high in the atmosphere, up in the stratosphere. Again, I look at those. I'm not really worried about any kind of weather, but you don't have to memorize those. There's some cirrocumulus clouds. These are extremely high forming little like poofy clouds that are way up there. Again, not worried about any weather related with those, so that's why we're not going to keep those in our notes. Altocumulus. These are a little bit lower forming cumulus clouds. Not quite as big and puffy, but they have that puffy white look that cumulus clouds can have. Don't have to memorize those. Altostratus, I'm not going to get into today. Stratus clouds, we've already taken notes. Are they important? Absolutely, stratus clouds are extremely important. Yesterday we took notes on nimbostratus clouds. And when you see that word nimbo or nimbus, Callie, you know that it is going to mean that there's some kind of rain coming. Nimbostratus clouds are going to bring light to medium rain. I see these kind of clouds. It's one of those days where it rains all day long, but there's no thunder and lightning involved, no hail falling out of that. It's just a light to medium to heavier rain, and that could be a rain that stays around for a few days depending on the type of front system it's involved with. Stratocumulus we're not going to study. That brings us to the first one that we will be studying today, and if I were you, I would put a star beside this one in your notebook, because as I went through all of the SchoolNet questions, as my wife went through all of the SchoolNet questions, we looked at each other as like, there aren't many cirrus, cumulus, stratus questions. There's a couple nimbostratus, but boy, oh boy, I could make a 50-question test on cumulonimbus clouds easily. Cumulonimbus clouds would easily make up a 50-question test based on SchoolNet, so let's talk about that. These are your storm clouds. These are the storm clouds. When you see these clouds outside, you know that a storm is coming. So cumulonimbus clouds. So when I think of a cumulonimbus cloud, I think of a thunderstorm. That's what I associate it with, so I know that there's lightning, I know that there's heavy rain, I know that there's heavy winds, and that there's sometimes, depending on how big the storm is, there is some hail that falls. I have seen the word thunderheads. Now, I would hope it's got the word thunder in it, that you would still relate that to a thunderstorm, but some people may not. These are storm clouds. They are very, very dangerous. The reason why you need to recognize these, Charlie loves to go home in the afternoons and run around the backyard with like big metal pipes up in the air. It's just his jam. It's what he does. That's awesome on a day like today. You probably do not want to do that, Charlie, during a cumulonimbus cloud being outside. Because if he runs around with like big metal rods up in the air, he may come back with a new hairstyle on the next day where his hair is sticking up and he looks like he's like excited all day long because his eyes are wide open because he's been shocked by the lightning. I kid, but you can't be outside with those. Your baseball games are going to get canceled. Your softball games are going to get canceled. The soccer tournament probably postponed to canceled if there are cumulonimbus clouds outside and present because they bring big storm. All right, so again, cumulonimbus cloud, the number one most important cloud that's going to show up on the quizzes and on the tests and everything else. You have to have that in your weather book for this quarter. At some point, cumulonimbus has to show up in there. So make sure you get that one in there as we move forward. All right, moving on. These are called contrails. They are classified as a cloud. Am I worried about any weather with this? No, when a jet goes over and there's a contrail in the sky, I'm not worried that there's going to be a storm. I'm not worried there's going to be light rain. It's a contrail. Here's the thing that I need you to answer, though. Why is it called a contrail? Contrails. The reason why they're called contrails is a shortened word for condensation trail. Because that jet is spitting out super hot air that has water in it, that hot water vapor is so high in the atmosphere that when it hits that cool air, it condenses back into little water droplets, which is the way that clouds are formed. Again, these are not clouds that are any way involved with weather. You just need to know contrails are clouds. They're condensation trails made by a jet or a plane. No weather. That's all you need to know about these. They are condensation trails. There it is. That follow a jet or a plane, and there's no weather involved. And since we have typed those notes on our whiteboard, I'll pull this up really quickly for the folks at home that are watching this video so that they can click pause and finish the notes on contrails. All right, moving on from contrails. We are going to talk about fog. Who has ever been in fog before? Well, if you have been in fog before, you have been inside of a cloud because fog is a low-lying cloud that touches the earth. I think it's you'll see in the notes they call it a cousin of the stratus cloud. It's a stratus cloud. It's in the family of stratus clouds. All right? And the reason why they pick stratus is because it kind of blankets the ground, doesn't it? I mean, fog is not something where it's like, a big puffy white fog here and then another one way over here, fog usually covers an area like a blanket. So let's get our notes about fog, and then I'll get that question. So we'll take that super long definition that's on the Nearpod, which is great, and we'll just make that easy for everybody to understand. Fog is a low-lying cloud. It's a stratus cloud. It's in the family of stratus clouds that touches the earth. I love being on the parkway when it is foggy. You can drive around up there, and because of the way the parkway goes a little up, it elevates sometimes and it descends a little bit. Sometimes you are under the fog, so it looks like a cloud. Sometimes you're driving straight through the cloud, and then every once in a while it'll rise up just enough, and because you can't see anything because it's so foggy, it literally looks like you're flying a plane, but you're in your car. Because you're looking like right at the top of the fog, and you can't see the road. It looks like you're flying a plane, which is pretty awesome. So fog, low-lying cloud that touches the earth. All right, now I'm going to end the video so that we can talk about these and watch the videos associated with polar stratospheric, and these are called polar mesospheric. I know it says noctilucent, but they're polar mesospheric clouds. The reason why I'm not going to make the video for the people at home, I can't show the videos because that's copyright law stuff. These are things that you're probably going to want to go back and get the Nearpod code and watch on your own if you're not here. You may even want to go back and watch them on your own if you are here, because the remainder of these clouds are just fun clouds. People at the back that aren't paying attention, they're just fun. They're interesting. I love the other clouds. I think cumulonimbus clouds are great. These are actually super, super interesting. You can do these if you want to, but Sadie, you do not have to do these in your book. Every once in a while, there's like a fifth grader who kind of knows that they want to be a meteorologist when they grow up. They want to do something about weather, and that's great. Those are going to be the people that really get involved in this. The rest of us, we may not care enough to put them in our book. We might just think that they're neat, and that's fine as well. So for the folks at home, signing off, smash the like button, click the bell for notifications, whatever else you're supposed to do.